The creaking of the night deep in the woods of Maine stood an abandoned house, shrouded in legends and fear. Built in the late 1800s, the house bore Jessica, a college student from Boston, was obsessed with the When she heard about the haunted house, she convinced her boyfriend, Mike, and their friends Kyle and Sarah, to join her in spending the night there. Armed with cameras and audio equipment, they planned to capture any paranormal activity, and maybe create a viral video for their YouTube channel. The friends arrived at the house late in the evening. The moon peeked weakly through heavy clouds, casting eerie shadows over the decaying structure. The house looked worse than in the pictures. Its walls were covered in moss, the roof sagged, and the front door creaked ominously in the wind. "Are we sure this is a good idea?" Sarah asked, eyeing the dark windows. "Of course," Mike said, feigning confidence. "It's just an old house. Nothing to worry about." Inside, the air was damp and heavy, carrying the unmistakable scent of decay. The floorboards groaned under their weight, and the walls were streaked with strange stains. The rooms were bare, except for rotting furniture that seemed moments away from collapse. The group set up cameras in several rooms and spread out their recording equipment. For the first few hours, nothing unusual happened, though the house itself was alive with noises, creaks, whispers, and faint taps. Jessica decided to use a Ouija board to try and communicate with any spirits. "If there's anyone here, give us a sign," she called out loudly. There was no response at first. But just as they were about to give up, a door upstairs slammed shut with a deafening bang. "It's just the wind," Kyle said quickly, though doubt was clear in his voice. When they went to investigate, they found the door had been nailed shut. It couldn't have slammed. "Maybe we imagined it," Sarah whispered, though her eyes betrayed her growing fear. As the night wore on, things escalated. Shadows began to flit across the cameras, moving unnaturally. Their audio equipment captured faint whispers in a language none of them recognized. At one point, Sarah let out a sharp scream. She was standing in a corridor, staring into an old mirror they'd found in one of the rooms. "What's wrong?" Mike shouted, rushing to her. "I saw someone in the mirror," she stammered, her voice trembling. "But it wasn't me." The mirror reflected only their faces, but Jessica noticed faint scratches on its surface that hadn't been there before. As the hours passed, the house seemed to come alive. Kyle disappeared first. He had gone to the basement to check on one of the cameras and never returned. When the others went after him, they found only his flashlight lying on the ground, next to strange footprints leading into the darkness. "We need to leave," Sarah insisted, panic in her voice. But Jessica refused. "We can't leave, Kyle." When they tried to find the front door, it was gone. In its place was a solid wall. Mike tried to smash one of the windows, but the glass was unbreakable, as if it were made of steel. The walls seemed to shift, the hallways narrowing, the stairs stretching endlessly upward. A low, guttural hum filled the air. From the corners of the rooms, dark shadows began to seep out, their movements fluid and predatory. The friends' flashlights flickered, and the air grew icy. Jessica's camera captured one final, horrifying moment. A ghastly face appeared in the mirror. It didn't belong to any of them. It stared directly into the lens, its mouth curling into a grotesque smile. The next morning, police found the friend's car parked on the road near the woods, but the house itself was gone. In its place was an empty clearing overgrown with grass. Jessica, Mike, Kyle, and Sarah were never seen again. A few days later, videos from the group began appearing online. They showed the friends' terror, the shifting shadows, and the chilling face in the mirror. The final clip was the most disturbing. It began with a static-filled shot of a dark hallway. The audio was faint, filled with whispers that grew louder and louder. Suddenly, the camera turned, as if an unseen force was holding it. Jessica's voice was barely audible. "Help us." The shot zoomed in on the mirror. Reflected in its surface was the house, but inside it were shadowy figures, trapped souls, endlessly reliving their fear. Among them were Jessica, Mike, Kyle, and Sarah. Their faces were twisted in silent screams, their hands pressed against the glass as though they were trying to break free. The screen glitched violently, the sound rising to an ear-splitting screech. The final image was a pair of enormous, glowing eyes staring directly at the viewer, followed by a single message burned into the screen: "You're next." The videos became a viral sensation. Some claimed they were a clever hoax, others insisted they were real. Soon after, the original uploads disappeared without a trace. Those who had watched the footage reported strange occurrences: creaking footsteps in their homes at night, flickering lights, and shadows that didn't belong. A few even claimed to see faces in their mirrors, faces that didn't belong to them. The legend says that the videos resurface once a year, on the night of the full moon. And if you dare to watch them all the way through, the house will find you, no matter where you are. Would you press play?